And there we have it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Justin Thomas James here with the man, the myth, the legend, James Osiris Baldwin. Say hello, James.
Hello. How you doing?
All right. Well, I'm doing all right. It is good to be back in the world of Archemi. I've completed my pre-read of Crowned in Black, which I gotta say is just an incredible piece of work. If you are watching this right now and you have not picked up the ebook for Crowned in Black, go and grab that. It is an excellent installment to the Archemi series. I want to talk a little bit about what's going on today. What are we doing here? Well, it's a kickoff. Very excited. We're starting production of Crowned in Black.
Yep, it's been a long time coming.
It has been a long time coming. And yeah, it feels good to kind of reconnect with the characters. And it took me a while to get through the script because I was constantly, I was saying to you the other day, that I was constantly thinking about, like, okay, there could be music here. Oh, we could put music here. Oh, we could do sound effects here, you know, and trying to find all of those spots. And I could not stop thinking about the full, like, orchestrated final image. And then, you know, voices and there's a lot of great scenes.
So far on Amazon, this book is like the most highly rated of the series. It has going on 200 reviews now-ish, and it's, as far as I know, still at a 4.8 stars out of 5. So, yeah, awesome. Of all the books, it's the one that's got the most ratings. So I'm really glad that, you know, you enjoyed it and that the audience seems to have enjoyed it. So
what would you say? What are you seeing in terms of reviews? Like, what are people liking about this installment?
I have to admit, I don't read my own reviews.
Probably wise.
Mostly because I don't want to, because I have a very clear vision of how the series plays out, and I have ever since I started the first book. And I worry about, like, if I read my reviews before I finish the series, that the reviews will affect kind of where I want to go with the books, and I don't want the reviews to influence that. So what I plan to do is I will read a lot of the series reviews after I finish the whole series, and I'll go back and, like, you know, do some work based on that. But until the series is done, I don't actually read my reviews. Good or bad.
Yeah. I don't blame you with that.
I don't want to accidentally do fan service, you know?
Right. Yeah, it would be a tricky balance. As soon as you open that door, it's easy to get influenced, I imagine. Couple things right off the bat. First of all, you might have just seen it. My my video is just glitching today. See, there we go. There we have it. It's Squalor. Yeah. Squalor has entered my system, and it's messing with the stream.
Yeah.
I'm watching the chat here. I'm gonna have it kind of on the side. I wish I could pop it out, but I don't believe I can. But I'll be, you know, keeping an eye. If you're watching in Facebook, if you're watching in YouTube, please say hello, leave a comment, tell James what you think, give a glowing review. Or just, you know, just talk about the book. If you've read it, we want to hear what you think of it, if you listen to the audiobooks, all of that good stuff. Yeah, definitely just say hello in the chat. And if you don't know what Archemi is, there's a whole bunch of people here that will be able to tell you exactly what we're doing here. So the piece that you heard at the beginning was called the Orlihats, which is, I guess, it's the piece that was composed for like the Parliament building in
the Parliament,
Taltos.
Yeah. The Valachian Parliament. Yeah.
So there's some themes in there that you might recognize: the Corvinus Royal March and a little bit of the Archemi theme as well. If you haven't already, the soundtrack for books 1 through 3 are available on YouTube. I do have the soundtrack for War Singer, and if time permits, we'll listen to a few more of those pieces. But for now, we're going to get into some narration. James, was there anything that you wanted to say before we jump into it?
Not really. No, I'm just looking forward to hearing it.
It's so nice to return to a world that
I'm just
I'm
at
so
the moment I'm
connected
just
to.
pinging everyone on my server like, guys, hey guys.
Yeah, yeah.
think
A lot of people here. We got Raid, Hani, Fei Wei, Athens 971, Snake Master 89, Dimitri Nez. Am I missing anybody else here? If you're in the chat, say hello. Snake Master, I think I said them. Oh,
Yeah.
Sarah King introduced you to Soundbooth Theater. Well, welcome, Faye. Welcome.
Funnily enough, Snake Master, like Sunda, she was basically possessed by a squaller, so same baddie. I guess
That's
I can
it.
give spoilers for book 5.
Yeah, if you're watching this,
book 6, so if you're already here,
but we're kind of at the point where we're so far into the series that any spoilers now, if anybody goes and starts the series, it's going to be so long before they actually get to the point.
yeah, there's going to be like some sort of, oh my god, Snape kills Dumbledore meme at this point.
Yeah. Well, I think that was the funniest way it's ever butchered my name. Sorry, Raida. I'm going to call you Raida.
Mm-hmm.
Raida Hani. I think it's German.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, I am Raida.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's get the script open. I'm going to be recording, and we can actually... What's that?
Let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go.
My Australian leaking out there.
Let's go. Let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go, mate.
Go, mate.
Mate.
Well, okay, all right. Should I show the... I wonder if I can stream 2 windows at once. Wouldn't that be amazing? I'm going to stop that, and then I'm going to present. Share screen. Share. Okay, we're going to do a window. Okay, do you guys want to see the script? I think you probably want to see the script. You can follow along if you like. And if you don't like, then, well, just close your eyes. Great. Well, here we are. And, spoilers. We're at the beginning of Crowned in Black. Can you tell us a little bit, James, about what happened at the end of book 5? And again, strong spoiler warning here.
Okay.
Very strong.
Book 5, they learned that the Valachian assault in Rivala against Boulder Highlands forces catastrophically failed because Dark Deer stabbed Valachia in the back and basically handed over the First Fleet to Boulder, and thus Ignis was captured. So the Valachian First Fleet and the Valord were both taken by the big bad guys. And this literally starts the moment after they've learned that this has happened.
So no time jumps, no skips.
No, it's literally from the last conversation in book 5.
All right. Well, then let's jump into it. I've got a couple characters here in this chapter that I'm going to have to brush up on. We've got Simon, we've got Rutha, Hector. I think I've got a little bit. Urgalen, we have Vasily, Nemeth. Okay, all right. Let's hear. So let's hear what Simon sounds like. He's the first.
Welcome back to Taltos, Vovod Dragozin, Vovodzina Bahadir.
Welcome back to Vlachia. What did I say?
Welcome back to Taltos.
Welcome back to Taltos. Who does he remind me of? A little bit of Anton Yelkin, a little bit. What is his name? From Star Trek. Not Bones. Not Scotty. Chekhov. Thank you. All right, we got Chekhov. Vasily.
I would bet my firstborn that bridge is rigged to explode if we try to cross it.
Yeah. Perfectly.
Oh, we don't know yet, but we all want to know how our damned fleet was defeated by a country less than a third our size. Thank goodness you're here.
So he's more nasal. He's higher up,
Yeah.
less kind of soft spoken, a bit more angular.
Vasily is quite a small man, like physically small. He's like
Yeah.
5'3". He's built like a jockey. He's like a tiny dude.
Hello, I am Vasily, the jockey.
Vasily.
Little gnome. And Nemeth. It doesn't look like I have Nemeth as
he's introduced in this book. So Nemeth is the master sage. So he's like really old.
Simon, Masha, what in the watery
No, why is he British? All right.
He's
Start
not
with.
necessarily Slavic. Nemeth is
Oh.
not a Vlachian name. So.
Oh, okay, great. In that case, I'm going to go British because I've got plenty of East European to pull out of my ass for characters. Not just like one or two characters with East European accents.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Pretty much like 80% of the side characters all have East European. So
yeah, Vlach is based on Hungary. So yeah, we got that.
Simon, Masha, what in the watery hells is going on?
There you go.
we'll do British for Nemeth. Okay, and we had Simon, we had Angry Mob. Can you tell us about the motivations of Angry Mob number 1? Galen, Ur Galen, there he is.
I and my retainers will fight as ferociously for you as we would for His Majesty. We are not great in number here, but I will vouch for you in Litvy to summon reinforcements if we must.
He's got good energy.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, Galen is Galen's a fucking Chad.
He's what, sorry?
Galen is a Chad.
A Chad? Oh, okay.
He's a Chad.
Oh, okay. Where's a Galen?
He's like a big himbo guy.
Galen, here we go.
Vovo Dragozin, still on this side of the dirt, eh? Vovo Dragozin, still on this side of the dirt, eh?
There you go.
Sounds a bit.
Chesko Zibulba.
Okay, and lastly, I think we have Janos Lance. That'll be fun to play him again.
Highland's goal is clear enough. Conquer the rest of Artana and bring it under his rule. However, his methods are amateurish. A wise strategist would have conquered the rest of the Hercynian. He definitely sounds like a bad guy. Loving citizens of Vlachia, be at ease. His Majesty, whom I gratefully represent, knew a day might come where he rode to the protection of our great nation or its allies, and not return. He made...
You could even de-emphasize the Slavic accent with Janos a bit.
Oh, yeah.
He's a little more sort of international type kind of guy, because he's a diplomat and a...
Ah, yes.
So he does kind of have that like in-between accent. Like
in between,
his
yeah.
Slavic accent will be much milder because of his sort of education and everything.
Got it. Okay, all right. Now, I'll try to tone it down. Let's see.
His Majesty, whom I gratefully represent, knew a day might come where he rode to the protection of our great nation and its allies, and not return.
There you go.
Yes.
Because he's like a slimy bureaucrat,
Yes. He made preparations for this eventuality. To this end, he appointed me, Vovod Janos Lance of Songrad, to lead in his stead. Know this. As we speak, the council of the finest military minds in Vlachia gather in the royal war room, planning how we will approach this situation in Ravala and recover His Majesty.
There you
All right, great. And I think that's probably it.
go. In my own head, like Janos Lance is the Mitch McConnell of Archemi.
Got it. Okay. I don't even know what Mitch McConnell sounds like. Does he sound like this?
He looks and sounds kind of like a turtle.
Pasha. Okay, who's Pasha? Extraordinary accusations. Pasha. For one thing, you would need to be able to name whoever supposedly committed these crimes. Who is Pasha?
He is the Dakari diplomat.
Ah, yes. Has he been seen before?
Yeah, he was in book 5 or book 4.
Oh, shoot. I do not have a voice reference. Let me see. I might have to look that up. He doesn't have too many lines, so I can look that up afterwards.
Treachery repaid in kind. Takdir has rejected the White Sail Alliance for what it is, Songrad. A bully pulpit ruled by Vlachia for Vlachian interests, all while actors from your nation attempt to overthrow our divinely appointed Sultir.
There you go. That sounds good.
All right, we'll go with that. All right, let's go back to the beginning. Here we go, chapter 1. And let me get these comments kind of in the bottom right. Probably not going to be reading them too much. If you're watching this right now, please give us a thumbs up, a heart, a care, a don't do the angry face. That's triggering. I get triggered by it. But you're probably going to do it now, so you go for it. Yeah, just anything. And if you know anybody who is not here who loves Archemi, then tell them to get to the chopper. Get to the YouTubes. Let's go. Come on. When am I going to get the voice in Arnold character? James. I need one, please. There needs to be one in book 7.
We could do like fake Conan, like Conan with a K. That dude.
Yeah.
Get away with it.
Kill my enemies. Hear them blah 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 before me. Trembling. Something whatever that line is. Okay. All right. And now I've forgotten how all of the voices go. But let's hear Simon one more time.
Welcome back to Taltos, Vovodra.
All right. Right. Anton Yelkin. Here we go. Chapter 1.
Vovodragozin, Lucian Hart has taken our king.
The court mage's words rang like bells in my ears and the world around me. Soldiers shouting orders, frantic nobles racing toward the throne room, wailing servants, faded. Oh, let me do that. Oh. Come on now. There we go. There we go. Oh. Well. It's okay. None of that recorded anyway, so we're good.
Oops.
Vovodragozin, Lucian Hart has taken our king.
The court mage's words rang like bells in my ears and the world around me. Oh. The court mage's words rang like bells in my ears and the world around me. Soldiers shouting orders, frantic nobles racing toward the throne room, wailing servants, faded into a blur of ringing white noise. And this would be a thought. Ignis. No. I could readily picture his kind, sly face in my mind. He was the rarest of the rare, a king who'd turned out to be a genuinely good man, a good leader. And he'd been captured by some of the worst people uploaded to this fucking world. Suddenly, Violetta's presence in Dokdir and Aurorgiel's mad invasion of Ravala made perfect fucking sense. They'd been trying to lure Ignis west. Now, we had no king. and the Ilian Empire was camped right across from... Suspense. And the Ilian Empire was camped right across from our doorstep. All right, here's what we do. I was surprised by how in control I sounded. Ignis appointed Janos of Songrad as regent. That means Janos will be taking the throne any minute now to address the court and brief everyone, right?
Yes, Your Grace.
Simon was visibly shaken. Masha, normally fiery and quick, was tongue-tied. Rutha covered her face with one slim, scarred hand. Coralti can hold the fort here in case there's a riot. I doubt anyone's going to want to tangle with a pissed-off queen dragon. At the sound of her name, Coralti rumbled and lowered her hatchback-sized muzzle until the tip of her snout brushed my shoulder. Simon, come with me. We'll go in and hear what Janos has to say. Rutha, Masha, I have a bad feeling. I have a bad feeling about this. Stay with Coralti and be ready to evacuate.
Stay? Evacuate?
Masha finally found her voice, swelling up until she reached her full height. A towering 4 feet 11 inches of pissed-off master healer.
What? Do you think that I am some delicate June princess who never stepped off her litter? You can sod off with that notion, Lord Toon. It was I who delivered Ignis and smacked the royal cheeks till he took his first breath. Damned if I'll sit on my hands and diddle myself while he's in danger.
Well, fair enough. Can't argue with that. I looked at Rutha. Rutha. I can't walk, but I can cast spells. The sorceress's expression hardened as she pulled a brace of mana capsules from her inventory and divided them between her spell glove and her hovering wheelchair. If this were a raging battlefield, I'd do as you ask. But the royal courts of Artana are my battlefield, and I have played the great game since I was barely 16 years old. You need me. I let out a hiss of breath through my teeth. Coralti, are you going to be okay? Coralti, are you going to be okay? My dragon snorted a cloud of hot, ozone-tinged air over the 4 of us. At level 18, she was headed toward being the size of a small passenger jet, but her telepathic voice? But her telepathic voice was bright, youthful. Even bubbly. Yep, I can still teleport one more time today. I've regained enough mana for other spells, and there's 8 charges of fiery doom locked and loaded.
Your Coralti voice is on point.
Thank you. Yep.
Yep.
Just like this, ray of sunshine in this super dark moment.
Yeah.
I'm seriously hoping we don't have to unleash any more fiery doom today. 1 sandworm and 5 airships are plenty. I reached up to rub the gleaming opal spines crusting Coralti's jaw, squared my shoulders. I reached up to rub the gleaming opal spines crusting. I reached up to rub the gleaming opal spines crusting Coralti's jaw, squared my shoulders, and marched past the others into the chaotic depths of Vlachia's royal bastion, Vulcan Keep. All right, so what is the key for this? Insert empty MIDI clips, and it's Control-Shift-E. I can do that. Crowd of agitated, nervous soldiers. Ah, I can just double click on it. That's handy. reached up. Nope. Soldiers had formed choke points in the entry hall to prevent crushing. The corridors were bristling with halberds, but the nervous men, almost as confused and alarmed as the courtiers, rushed in from every corner of the fortress. Let us pass. Oh. I'm going to start that paragraph again. Crushing. The corridors were bristling with halberds, but the nervous men, almost confused and alarmed as the courtiers rushed, blah, blah, blah. Let us pass. A little water here. Soldiers had formed choke points in the entry hall to prevent crushing. The corridors were bristling with halberds, but the nervous men, almost as confused and alarmed as the courtiers rushing in from every corner of the fortress, almost as confused and alarmed as the courtiers rushing in from every corner of the fortress, let us pass. Let us pass. Let us pass, without so much as a murmur. Red-faced criers at the throne room entrance continued to announce, stammering and speeding through the names and titles of dignitaries as they flooded past, including us. Quick question for you, James. Is this Elizabeth, or is this just one of the heralds?
That's just random herald. So
Random herald, okay.
yeah, Elizabeth is at the crown, at the throne. So
okay, great.
Random herald / steward announcing people at the door. You know how like they do.
Vavod Dragozin Hector of Misno, Simon Staglitz, Royal Magus and Advisor to His Majesty the Valod, Lady Rutha of Vasto, Sorceress to King Rosvind, Master Healer Masha, Physician to the Court.
Yeah, it's pretty much chaos at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to have some ambience here. The whole first chapter is going to be audio dramified. We're going to have sound effects, music, and ambience pretty much throughout. And it'll just be kind of toned down for when the people are speaking. Oh, why is Angry Mob narrating this?
God damn it, Angry Mob.
That's it. No one could really hear them over the noise. No one could really hear them over the noise inside. The towering cathedral hall was lined on both sides with a seething crowd of agitated people, many of whom were already wearing white, the Valachian color of mourning. Soldiers lined the narrow procession to the Raven Throne, which itself was ringed by the elite knights of the Dragon, Vlachia's Kingsguard. Was ringed by the elite knights of the Dragon, Vlachia's Kingsguard. This wall of muscle and steel protected Vavod Janos of Songrad. This wall of muscle and steel protected Vavod Janos of... This wall of muscle and steel protected Vavod Janos of Songrad and his close advisors, clustered at the base of the dais with their heads together. Holy shit snacks. What a mess. Holy shit snacks. What a mess. I zoomed my vision past the throng of people. The regent looked shrewd, tired but alert. He'd changed out of the normal... He changed out the normal blue... Oh, okay. Livery? Livery? Green livery? Livery? He'd changed out the normal blue and green livery of his provincial house for the black and red garb of the Corvinus regent. He didn't look nearly as stressed. I'll redo that, actually. He'd changed out the normal blue and green livery of his provincial house for the black and red garb of the Corvinus regent. He'd changed out the normal blue and green livery of his provincial house for the black and red garb of the Corvinus regent. No, I gotta do that again. He'd changed out the normal blue and green livery of his provincial house for the black and red garb of the Corvinus regent. He didn't look nearly as stressed as I would have been. Why in the hell did the system feel the need to broadcast a global alert? Why in the hell did the system feel the need to broadcast a global alert? Every fucking Dom? Every fucking Tom, Dick, and Harry. Every fucking Tom, Dick, and Harry's crammed into this place. Oi!
It's like
Oi!
The Jewish oi. Like oi.
Oi!
Yeah.
Oi! Masha groaned in agreement. Rasuka's tits! It's chaos! I've never seen the court. I've never seen the court like this, not even after the death of the Volod's father. Huddling with Simon and Masha around Ruth's chair, the group of us bulldozed our way down the aisle. I scanned the room for familiar faces. The Mercurian Abisa stood at ease to the right of the Raven throne. She was hooded and masked, armed with daggers and dressed in a severe bodysuit of leather and chain. Normally, Abisa favored decorative masks made of porcelain or wood. Today, she was wearing a flat, smooth metal helm without any facial features or vents. A red sigil burned balefully on the front of it, the enchantment that allowed her to see through solid steel. A Mercurian battle mask. Oh, geez, this is annoying.
I think you guys put the line there by accident. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. It's pretty easy to fix that, I think. Let's see. Whoa! Whoops.
Oops.
Yeah, it clips automatically. I wonder why.
Me.
That's kind of a silly thing. She expected trouble. There were others I knew among the crowd. My fellow Starburns. If anybody here watches Community, there's a character named Starburns in a show called Community. That's great. All right, where are we going? My fellow Starborn, Nethris, lingered by the entry to one of the vestibules. She was in full Valkyrie gear, her axe over her back. I opened my HUD and dictated a quick PM. Hey, Nethris. Is this, PM chat. Hey, Nethris. We're on the other side of the aisle. Can you see us? The woman's head jerked up, and her eyes scanned for a moment. Then she looked through her HUD, peering until she spotted my waving hand. She lifted hers and shot back a quick message. Yeah. Yeah, I see you. After this mess, we'll take you back to Misno with us to pick up your mount. Oh. My phone just buzzed. Just throw it on the floor, I guess. Get out of here! All right. After this mess, we'll take you back to Misno with us to pick up your mount, I replied, keeping half an eye on the throne. Even if you're still technically under house arrest, they can't keep you here now. Sure, thanks. Might have some stuff to tell you, too. About Lucian, Balder, and the Kingsmen. Don't want to talk about it here, though, even in PM. Got a weird vibe. She nodded to me, then looked uncomfortably back toward the front of... God, it's doing it again. There's probably a way to do this, to fix this, but... She nodded to me, then looked uncomfortably back toward the front of the room. I recognized two of the commanders who had served under me in Misno among the crowd. Wing Leader Vasily, Captain of the 4th Fleet, Wing Leader Vasily, Captain of the 4th Fleet, 32nd Dragoons. Wing Leader Vasily, Captain of the 4th Fleet, 32nd Dragoons, cut a striking figure in his red dress uniform. He was a small, wiry man with close-cropped, wavy black hair and a sharp face weathered by the wind. Galen, a commander in the Knights of the Red Star, stood beside him with at least 30 of his men. The knights were distinctive, with their shaved Cossack forelocks, red lamellar armor, and lines of facial tattoos. I recognized about a dozen of them, soldiers who'd fought beside me during the battle for the Przyjemny line. Let me just double-check this, make sure it's not missing. Nope. Galen! Vasily! I shouted to them over the noise, waving an arm. Both men turned instinctively at the sound of my voice, and their faces lit up. Galen turned around and yelled something at his men, while Vasily gave a signal with his hand. Knights and dragoons made way for us, opening a circle. Rutha smiled gratefully at them as she drifted in and came to a rolling stop. "Vovo Dragozin! Still on this side of the dirt, eh? Vovo Dragozin! Still on this side of the dirt, eh?" Galen roared. Like all the knights, he was a big man with a big mustache, ruddy in the face and dark in the eyes. He clapped his hand into mine and clasped my arm, then drew me in for a brief hug and cheek kiss. Vasily shook hands and respectfully inclined his head. "Sure am, Commander." "Sure am, Commander." I nodded to each of them in turn. What the hell happened in Ravala? "We don't know yet. But we all wanted to know how our damned fleet was defeated by a country less than a third our size," Vasily called back. Oh, he's, I guess, shouting. "We don't know yet, but we all want to know how our damned fleet was defeated by a country less... We don't know yet, but we all want to know how our damned fleet was defeated by a country less than a third our size." Vasily called back. "Thank goodness you're here! We need you and every other competent starborn on Vlachia's side." "We need you and every other competent starborn on Vlachia's side. Where is Lady Bahadir? "Busy. On her way back to Mizno." I glanced around, then refocused on him and Galen. We got the war singer. Their eyes widened, but before they could comment, a new voice called out to... "Who? To who?" Damn Excel. Us. A new voice called out to us. "Simon! Masha! What in the watery hells is going on?" We turned to see a dignified elder man in indigo robes bustling toward us, squeezing between heavily armored knights of the Red Star. Trailing him was another familiar face, the junior sage and keeper of the castle library, Kithias. "Master Sage!" Simon answered him, bowing as much as he could without being jostled. "Please return to your office. It isn't safe here." Okay. "Master Sage! Please return to your office. It isn't safe here." "It isn't safe here." "And miss out on Songrad's little speech? Pah!" Master Sage Nemeth was nearly as old as Masha, which put him in his mid-70s or early 80s. He reminded me of an ibis. Ibis?
Yes. Yes. Sorry, I muted so that I didn't interrupt you.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Ibis, you said?
Ibis.
Ibis, okay. He reminded me of an ibis with his long neck, beaky nose, and steely, dark eyes. "I'm here for the same reason we all are. Ignis is the last Corvinus.
If Janos doesn't have a plan to rescue him, we're doomed. Dosla Boga, don't use that word. Dosla Boga, don't use that word, Master Sage. We're cursed as it is. Commander Vasily groaned.
This isn't over till we say it is. This isn't over until we say it is. This isn't over until we say it is. I nodded to his words, studying Kithias. The red-haired Lycian was normally bright and alert, with a tongue like a well-oiled blade. He looked uncharacteristically subdued. A hush rippled through the chamber as Janos stepped onto the dais and placed the regent's crown, a simple platinum band, on his head. Now he looked a little more like I'd expected. Pale, a bit nervous. I'd never liked the Voivode of Songrad since first meeting him at a disastrous auction in Taltos, but in the moment I felt for him. Suddenly thrust into a position of responsibility, facing a screaming, angry mob demanding accountability and solutions to seemingly impossible problems. Yeah, I'd been there. Except this guy had the fate of the entire kingdom resting on his... Except this guy had the fate of the entire kingdom resting on his shoulders now, not just a single province. Our kingdom. Because in this moment, maybe for the first time ever, I felt myself to be a part of a country. A nation. This nation. Vlachia. Court heralds positioned themselves beside the first step of the throne. I recognized Elizabeth, the first herald of the realm, as she activated a magical pendant and drew a deep breath. Magical enhancement.
Yeah, I definitely do like the fact that you're making Hector sound more confident and more mature.
Yeah.
Because he really is, like, he's grown so much since book one at this point. Like, he's not nearly as nervous or as flappable about things, you know.
Yeah, he was more kind of boyish before, and now
he's
like,
grown up a lot.
yeah. All right. Order in the court! Her magically augmented voice pierced the sea of noise filling the hall, bringing an immediate hush. Lord Regent Janos Lance of Songrad shall address the assembly. The court is ordered to silence. The hush deepened to a murmuring and clicking, and the crowd finally stopped surging. I glanced around. There were roped-off galleys to either side, where the nobility twittered quietly behind lines of guardsmen. Simon, Masha, Master Sage Nemeth, Kithias, Rutha, and I were now basically surrounded by the representatives of the Fourth Fleet, Vasily's dragoons, Ur-Galen's knights, mages, and NCOs and medics. It was close quarters, and there wasn't much room to move. A wave of intuitive tension swept through the pit of my belly. Not fear. More like anticipation that somehow, when, we were about to have a problem. Okay. We were about to have a real bad time. Loving citizens of Vlachia, be at ease. Janos's clear, commanding tenor rang out over the throne room, amplified by magic that made it sound as though he were speaking from the walls. His Majesty, whom I gratefully
whom I gratefully represent, knew a day might come where he rode to the protection of our great nation or its allies, and not return. He made preparations for this eventuality. To this end, he appointed me, Vovod Janos Lance of Songrad, to lead in his stead. Know this. As we speak, a council of the finest military minds in Vlachia gather in the royal courtroom.
Could you maybe try to like a little more somber, like he's
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
sort of speaking more like awake or something than like,
Yeah.
yay, because he sounds a little bit like, woo.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the party. Yes. So the king is gone. We're gonna find him though. That's going to be great. Let's go.
Sorry.
Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine. His Majesty, whom I gratefully represent, knew a day might come where he rode to the protection of our great nation or its allies, and not return. He made preparations for this eventuality. To this end, he appointed me, Vovod Janos Lance of Songrad, to lead in his stead. Know this. As we speak, a council of the finest military minds in Vlachia gather in the royal war room, planning how we will approach this situation in Revala and recover his majesty. And once again, I remember just how fucking useless politicians actually are. I really didn't like his use of the word recover. I crossed my arms and studied Janos, keeping watch around and behind me. Dragon riders had wraparound peripheral vision, so I was able to monitor the crowd while keeping my head forward. No one else... I think this is another one. No one else looked particularly happy with what they were hearing either. I will now brief the court on what we know in the lead-up to our setback. Janos said stiffly, hands gripping the sides of the royal throne. The first and second fleets flew to Revala in expectation of a difficult battle against the significantly smaller but hardened and determined forces of the Ilian Empire. No, I gotta change. Let me just reconnect with his voice here. Janos, I think he's getting a little bit Simon-y.
Highland's goal is clear.
Island's goal. He gets a little lower. The first and second fleets flew to Revala in expectation of a difficult battle against the significantly smaller but hardened and determined forces of the Ilian Empire. Our army drove Ilia back from the border toward the capital of Lovi, where a heated battle took place. Reports indicated that the campaign was proceeding well, but that Ilia's dragons were conspicuously absent. The first fleet, led by the Sarkani-class dreadnought Henrietta, carved a salient in the Ilian line and downed the Ilian capital ship Sol Invictus in a battle that sent the Invictus plunging into Lovi's outer walls. Pronunciation's okay so far?
Yep, sounds good.
All right. His Majesty ordered a partial retreat to avoid being pincered in the salient in the event of a counterattack. It was anticipated that Dakdir and Jun, Vlachia's allies under the White Sail Alliance Mutual Defense Compact, would join our fleet. With even greater numbers, we would surge back into Lovai. With even greater Lovey? Yeah. With even greater numbers, we would surge back into Lovey and push Ilya out of Rivala.
Janos paused for effect.
3 nights ago, His Imperial Highness Emperor Hai Yuryu of Jun sent a missive to His Majesty explaining how they were delayed by strange weapons and hostilities at the border of Jun and Rivala.
Haye Yuryu?
No, it would be hi, like say hi.
Hi.
Hi, Yoryu.
Hai Yuryu.
Hi, Yoryu.
Great. Okay, let me just save that pronunciation because I'm sure they're going to come
My cat
back.
was whining and she wanted to be held like a baby. So she
Oh, well. Oh. Yuryu.
She's there. See them?
3 nights ago, His Imperial Highness Emperor Hai Yuryu of Jun sent a missive to His Majesty explaining how they were delayed by strange weapons and hostilities at the border of Jun and Rivala.
He continued gravely.
A black beam of anti-magical light from the sky decimated the Jun flagship and threw the fleet into disarray.
You're getting a little.
Yeah, a little too.
A black beam of anti-magical light from the sky decimated. A black beam of anti.
Oh, I'm hearing myself a little bit. Am I muting for a sec?
A black beam of anti-magical light from the sky decimated the Jun flagship and threw the fleet into disarray, shortly before their forces were attacked by Ilya's dragons and, to all accounts, Mercurian warships. To all accounts, Mercurian warships.
The crowd erupted into agitated murmurs of alarm. Galen and Simon both gasped. Masha's eyes widened. And let's get a little bit of a... Oops.
Wait, am I missing something?
I leaned down and asked Masha. The Mercurians showed up for The Mercurians showing up for this is...
Unheard of,
Masha whispered back.
if there were Mercurian war machines. This means that the Mercurians of Zont have broken the Blood Artifice Compact, which prohibits the import and use of the machines known as Sangheti Tak on Artanan soil.
Janos finished before Masha could.
This compact, which has stood for over 1,000 years, represented the state of truce between our peoples and the living constructs of Zont.
Oh, fuck. I reached up to grip at the line of braided hair running down the middle of my scalp, squeezing it.
Meanwhile, Dakdir arrived in Rivala as expected.
The regent continued, lifting his chin.
The Sultir's airships flew in from the southeast and joined the Vlachian forces from the rear, and there they committed the foulest treachery ever leveled against this nation. The Dakari fleet fell on Vlachias from behind, attacking fiercely. This signaled the Ilian forces to reveal themselves in their full might, a combined force of camouflaged Ilian airships, Mercurians with long-range weapons bunkered in Lovey's tallest building. Lovey-dovey.
Lovey, yeah.
Mercurians with long-range weapons bunkered in Lovey's tallest buildings, and the Dakari traitors attacked the first and second fleets from all sides. My eyes narrowed. Camouflaged ships were a modern strategy. Awful as it was a brilliant move in an asymmetrical war situation like war situation like the one Aurorgiel was dealing with. Much of the Second Fleet managed to escape the trap and are regrouping at the border. However, the First Fleet was completely encircled. Rather than allow the devastation of our forces, Velod Ignis Corvinus II honorably bartered his own life and freedom. And allowed himself to be captured. Janos finished heavily. Ilya seized the remaining ships and personnel. What has happened to them and the Velod at this stage, we do not know. The court broke into unhappy murmurs. The air around us seemed to vibrate, like a bomb about to explode. However, Janos called out sharply before the court could erupt, we are taking immediate action to discover the whereabouts of the Velod and our citizens and enact their recovery or our vengeance for their loss. To discover the whereabouts of the Velod and our citizens and enact their recovery or our vengeance for their loss. Following this address, I will be joining the emergency council upstairs. Dokdir must pay! Dokdir must pay! Dokdir must pay!
More steroids.
What's that?
More steroids.
There we go. A man's furious voice shout. What? A man's furious shout, deep, gruff, cracked out from the side galleys. It detonated the entire room. Suddenly, voices howled from everywhere, all of them demanding the blood of the Sultir, the Mercurians, and Ilya. I stepped in closer to Masha, tensing as the line of Red Star Knights behind us were jostled forward by the angry crowd, which was quickly turning into a mob as screams of rage burst through the hall. Up on the dais, one of Janos's advisors leaned in and whispered in his ear. The regent nodded and made a sharp gesture. Order! Order in the court! Order! Order in the court! Both of the heralds called out, their well-trained, magically enhanced voices overriding even the savage anger of the assembled. Both of the heralds called out, their well-trained, magically enhanced voices overriding even the savage anger of the assembled. And let me just make a note here. Good people of Vlachia, Janos rose off the throne, holding out his arms. Control Shift M. That's why. There we go. Okay.
I hear you and feel your pain. Make way, all of you, for the emissary of Dakdir, Pasha Summayal Aswan of Dalim. He was detained before this audience, and shall be judged before it to explain the foul betrayal of his sovereign. But the trial cannot take place if there is not order. But the trial cannot take place if there is not order.
Wait a second. I bent down to speak in Rutha's ear. This is really fucking convenient, isn't it? Yes. Rutha's eyes darted to the wall where the first cry had come from. Almost as if it's scripted. We may have noticed, but the regent's words had the desired effect on the angry. We may have noticed, but the regent's words had the desired effect on the angry mob. They stopped shoving against the lines of soldiers acting as human barriers between noble and commoner, subject and regent. As cries of "make way" rang from the other end of the great hall, hisses, boos, and curses rang out, building in volume. The Knights of the Red Star helped to carve out an alley down the middle of the hall. Without thinking, I stepped in to help with the crowd control. Without thinking, I stepped in to help with crowd control, reaching out to brace a hand on Urgalen's shoulder so my arm... Gosh darn it. Formed a barrier. Reaching out to brace a hand on Urgalen's shoulder so my arm formed a barrier. Two heavily armored guards dragged the miserable form of Pasha from the throne. Two heavily armored guards dragged the miserable form of the Pasha. Of the Pasha? Pasha's not his name?
It's a title. So he sometimes goes by like it is a name almost in a way.
Yeah.
Someone who
Right.
like Sergeant might go by a name, but
Yep.
yeah, it's a title.
Two heavily armored guards dragged the miserable form of the Pasha. Two heavily armored guards dragged the miserable form of the Pasha toward the throne. The Dakari man looked like he'd put up a fight. His pampered, tanned skin was purpled in places. His lip split. "Hector?" Karalti's clear, musical voice broke through the deafening roar of the assembly. "What's going on in there? It's really loud, and you're really stressed. Those Dakari ships that tried to intercept us in the desert? It wasn't just us they were fucking over. Dakdir betrayed Vlachia and set up Ignis to be taken by Lucian and Aurorgil." I thought back. Oh, that should be in thought. I'll just redo those lines. All right, let's see here. Those Dakari ships that tried to intercept us in the desert, it wasn't just us they were fucking over. Dakdir betrayed Vlachia and set up Ignis to be taken by Lucian and Aurorgil. I thought back, fighting the urge to cover my ears. My hearing was almost as good as my vision, and the noise was crushing. We know Violetta is in Dalim, and I guarantee she set this up. Casper also played a role, probably. What I want to know is how they timed everything so perfectly. They must have spies. Spies who are able to report to them in real time. "Like a party chat," Karalti confirmed grimly. "But who?" "I don't know." My gut ached uneasily at the thought, and I glanced toward Nethris. The Dragon Knights forced Pasha Aswan to his knees in front of the Janos. The Dragon Knights forced... Yeah, the Janos. The Dragon Knights forced Pasha Aswan to his knees in front of Janos. When I'd last seen him, he was done up in brilliant peacock blue silk robes and reeked like a bathroom air freshener dispenser. When I'd last seen him, he was done up in brilliant peacock blue silk robes and reeked like a bathroom air freshener dispenser. Now, he was in his pajamas, his perfectly coiffed hair hanging as a ropey mess around his shoulders. When he wasn't dressed in layers of coats and robes, he turned out to be kind of... scrawny.
I think maybe you should just, like, by default, just expand any long paragraph that you're about to read, because
Yeah.
you get stuck.
He turned out to be kind of scrawny. He turned out to be kind of scrawny. Yeah, I'll repeat that. When he wasn't dressed in layers of coats and robes, he turned out to be kind of scrawny. Yeah, I think so. I think there's a way to extend it, but it's. You see this? It should expand to the. What is this coming up as? General text. There might be a way to. Yeah, maybe Google will have an answer for next time.
I love the description of the music there, by the way. Tension, Dr. Doom.
Dr. Doom! Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom. How are we doing on the chapter? Oh, we're almost done here. Then we'll take a little break. Pasha Sumay al-Aswan, as the diplomat dispatched by your Sultir, you are your nation's representative in Vlachia, Janos proclaimed, retaking his seat. By what means do you explain this treachery? Treachery repaid in kind! Pasha spat. His voice was magnified, too. Dagdir has rejected the White Sail Alliance for what it is, Songrad. A bully pulpit ruled by Vlachia for Vlachian interests, all while actors from your nation attempt to overthrow our divinely appointed Sultir! Sultir? No, I'm not doing his voice right. Has rejected the White Sail Alliance for what it is, Songrad. A bully pulpit ruled by Vlachian interests, while actors from your nation attempt to overthrow our divinely appointed Sultir. Sultir? Treachery repaid in kind. Dagdir has rejected the White Sail Alliance for what it is, Songrad. A bully pulpit ruled by Vlachia for Vlachian. Oh, I can't get out of this accent. Fuck. It's tricky because East European kind of blends into
Middle Eastern a bit, yeah.
Middle Eastern a bit. No, what can I do? I need a frame of reference.
Like the Valachian accent is more like, rolled R's.
Yeah.
And the Middle Eastern is more like a it's got already
Dagdir has rejected the White Sail Alliance for what it is. What it is. No, it is. Treachery repaid in kind. Dagdir has rejected the White Sail Alliance for what it is. Songrad, a bully pulpit ruled by Vlachia for Vlachian interests, all while actors from your nation attempt to overthrow our divinely appointed Sultir.
I think there's a bit of melody different.
Treachery repaid in kind. No, treachery repaid in kind. Treachery repaid in kind.
Here, I'll try to. I'll maybe lighten the accent a little bit so that it's.
Duckdeer has rejected the White Sail Alliance for what it is, Songrad. A bully pulpit ruled by Vlachia for Vlachian interests, all while actors from your nation attempt to overthrow our divinely appointed Sultir. What nonsense, Janos replied. Agents of Vlachia undermining the Sultir. In case it escaped you, Yazid Kememos. In case it escaped you, Yazid Kememu still sits upon the peacock throne. There have been no attempts on his life we have heard of. Then explain the destruction of Al-Assad prison, Pasha retorted. The prison in the Bashir Desert?
Janos arched an eyebrow.
The Bashir. The Bashir is a no-man's land, unowned territory that separates Dakhtir from Napath. The Bashir Desert may be common land, but the prison was the rightful property of the Sultir!
Pasha gestured wildly behind him.
What about the chaos and destruction in the Leam by one of your own noblemen, leading a force of rebels released from that very same prison after its destruction? Explain to me the Vlachian warships who attacked our fleet as they flew out to investigate Al-Assad. Vlachia cannot slaughter our people and not expect retaliation. Even if Ignis did not declare war on Dakhtir, he permitted acts of war to go unpunished.
Janos waited until the chorus of booing and hissing died away, then waved the court to silence.
Extraordinary accusations require extraordinary proof, Pasha. For one thing, you would need to be able to name whoever supposedly committed these crimes. I can! And I will. I can! And I will! Because the actors are in the Bashir right now, warring with our navy as we speak, Pasha retorted. They are Vavod Hector Dragozin, Lord of Mizno, and his fire-blooded Shalatu whore. Fire-blooded Shalatu whore.
And there we have it, the end of chapter 1.
Yeah, I love Hector's response to this whole thing. Like,
oh yeah, me too. Next chapter is great. It's
where he's just kind of like, hey guys, actually.
actually, I'm right here, and what he's saying is complete utter bullshit. Yeah, it's a clever ploy what they're trying to do, but dragon teleport's a bitch, ain't it?
Yep.
All right. Well, let us go to 40. Boo, 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 boo. Rename. Chapter 2. And actually, I should do 1 here.
So the way you do this is you kind of like retake lines as you need, and then you kind of clip them out and stitch them back together.
I'll show you. So no, actually, I just basically replace the lines as I go through. So let me just switch my screens here. I'm going to present a different screen. Here we go. Share screen. I'll show you my Ableton set. So for those of you who are interested in how this is done, a look behind the Soundbooth Theater curtain is... I'll show you. We use a program, Digital Audio Workstation, or DAW for short, and we use a particular DAW called Ableton Live, and it looks a bit like this. So when we're working on the set before it goes to Lori and Jeff for voices, it looks like this. We've got the main narrator track up here in the white. We've got Hector. I'm going to actually create a new track called D3 JTJ, which is just going to be, there we go, third voice, because there's so many characters playing at once. It's kind of like if you want them to kind of overlap and interrupt each other. Yeah, you can you just set up different tracks for that, and you got Laurie's tracks here, Karalti's track is here. We've got Thought and all of that stuff, and then different tracks for different effects. So I've got like a Mercurian track that I want to try Rin with a just like a subtle voice effect that kind of makes her voice sound a bit metallic. But yeah, it looks like this. And then when I'm going and I'm making mistakes all the time, and I'll show you, I end up just repeating. I just delete what I put there, and I record over that. So here you can see the different takes that I've done. This was a line that I struggled with, apparently. Yeah, 2 heavily armored guards dragged the form of Pasha, whatever. You can see all of my takes here. Whenever I make a mistake, I just stick the clicker where I want it to go, and then I record over it.
Right.
So that's what's going on there. So I do still have all of those old takes. I'll delete them before I pass them over to Laurie, but they are there. Let's see, Control-Alt-U. There we go. And then lastly, as I'm going along, sometimes I will put in markers for ambience. You know, these little blocks here. And that's just a it's just a placeholder just for spotting, which is a technique that's used when in a movie there's like a spotting session with the director, where the director and, you know, the various people involved, sound effects people, music people, whatever, they'll sit there and they'll watch, and then they'll mark up like timestamps and things, and decide where certain sound effects and things are going to go. So that's the technique. That's what we're doing here. So very good. Well, I'm just going to pull up the window here, and what do you say? Do you want to listen to another track?
Music?
Will I take a little 5-minute break? Yeah,
Sure.
some music. What do you want to hear?
This. Fans probably know better than me.
What do we got? Well, a quick hello to everybody while we're kind of deciding what we want to play. Boop-a-da-boo, boop-a-da-boo. Oh, there we go. File Explorer. Here we go. So, just a quick, thank you for everybody who's here right now. Say hello in the chat. I am unfortunately unable to really follow along with the chat while I'm narrating, which makes sense. But James is in the chat, chatting away a little bit. I see we got some good conversation going. Tristan's here. Arlene is here. Athens is here. Thank you for hanging so long. We got Snake Master.
Yeah, I recognize most of the Discord regulars.
Oh, fantastic. Speaking of Discord, actually, I am going to be narrating this. This is a cold read that I'm doing right now. So all of this content, James talking, myself, the music, reading through the script, it's going to be available on Soundbooth Theater Direct, which is our proprietary platform. Soundbooth Theater has a proprietary platform, which is pretty freaking cool. So this will be available before the book comes out. So if you're just tuning into this and you can't, listen to it later, you'll be able to listen afterwards. You can watch it on YouTube or you can listen on the app. And it has warts and all. So you're going to hear literally this right now. You will hear that on Soundbooth Theater Direct. So be sure to check that out. But Discord, I said speaking of Discord and proceeded to talk about something else. If you aren't already a member of the Soundbooth Theater Discord, what are you doing? Get over there. Here's why. I'm going to be narrating this over the next week and, in a few weeks afterwards when I get back from the Yukon where I'm going. And I'm going to be narrating it once the cold reads are done, maybe, around the 5-hour mark as far as finished audio goes with the book. I'm going to be narrating it live, not recorded, in Discord, in the Soundbooth Theater Discord, with the in my JTJ booth. So come over there. Really important thing, when you do sign up for Soundbooth Theater, if you want notifications about when I'm jumping into the booth, sign up for the notification squad. We don't ping the listener every single time we're in the booth because that would get a little bit too much. We only reserve those pings for the people who really want to know when we're doing something and kind of recording in the background. So be sure to do that. Sean's copying my noises. Oh. A booga 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 boo. There we go. That'll keep him entertained for a bit. Awesome. Well, let's go through. What do you say, James? Do you want to hear some Trial by Fire or some War Singer? Or what book do you want to hear from?
War Singer for sure. Yeah.
Let's do War Singer. Okay. All right. Here we go. Archemi online.
Now, people are asking you if you can turn me up a bit. I'm too quiet.
Can I turn James up a bit? Let's see. Edit mic settings. Oh, I think I.
It's probably for the best that I was quiet because my cat was meowing before. Well, he was trying to record, so.
I can turn him up there, and I'm just going to turn him down on my end. By the way, am I too loud? Am I? Is it me? Am I the problem? Let me know. Is that better? I've turned him up a bit. Keep talking, James.
Oh, there we go. You hear me better now? I'm also very habitually quietly spoken, so I tend to kind of mumble. Which is what I mean.
If you're watching this right now, do not forget to like it, leave a heart, leave a care, leave a one of those faces, and subscribe to the Soundbooth Theater YouTube channel. And if you're watching this on Justin Thomas James Creations on Facebook, hello. You're probably not a fan, but we probably know each other in real life. So hello, Mom. Yeah, and that's it. Okay, all right. So we said, you know what? You're right, Ride. You're right. I am a doofus. I am a proud doofus. Proud of it. Let's see. Boo, 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 boo. Let us find. Hey, what happened here? Uh-oh. Oh, that's why. That scared me. Baldwin, Archemi, War Singer. Okay, all right. I'm going to rattle off a few tracks, and you let me know what you want to hear. We heard the Orlihats. We've got Desert Dance, which is the Duck Deer Desert theme. Suri's theme when they find her again. We have Rutha's account when Rutha's talking about all the fucked up shit that happened.
Ooh, I know. The War Singer song.
War Singer. Okay, all right. We'll do the War Singer song. Withering Rose, version 3, featuring Ahmed Mahmoud on guitar. And a little bit, I was recording these tracks with just like a MIDI synth guitar, and it sounded like this. It was like pew 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 pew. It actually literally sounded like that, and I was like, I went to Ahmed. I was like, hey, can you like actually like make this sound good with an actual guitar? And he was like, yep. And then he gave it back to me, and I was like, yep, that's a lot better. So you'll hear him in the first solo. There's a guitar solo. And here we go. have it. Wuthering Roads.
Yeah, so next book there's going to be, I was just saying in the text comment briefly to Justin on the side, but there'll be a good opportunity to have that track, have a derivative of that track that will be a little softer and a little more, I would say like aspirational or hopeful as opposed to like, driving in that sense. But like basically like a similar sort of, like you would reuse the melody to some extent, but kind of soften it up a little. And I won't spoil why that is because a lot of the people here haven't actually read this book. They've been waiting for the audio. So I won't say why, but there will be definitely like there's more Warsinger stuff coming, especially in book 7.
Oh, I'm getting chills thinking about it.
We're getting to the giant robot battles part. So.
Oh yeah. Megazord battles. Yeah. I'm absolutely stoked for book 7 and with.
So growing up, I was a huge Power Rangers fan, and I mean, massive Power Rangers fan, and I cannot deny that there is some inspiration from Power Rangers in this series.
I got so fucking just excited when in book 4 when they do see Withering Rose for the first time, and that this piece, it plays over that moment. It's like holy shit, this thing's fucking badass. Look at this thing. And I'm excited, because it's been kind of not very present. There's
also going to be an opportunity for you to write a pretty epic, or to compose a pretty epic Nocturne Lament. Theme song, and I won't spoil again. I can't spoil that, but because of the epic scale of this series, there's generally concepts and characters that are introduced in earlier books. They don't get abandoned. They get, but there is like a waiting period sometimes between like the reappearance of that character or that thing. Squalor pulling a Rita Repulsa. I'm free. Well. Yeah, again, no spoilers for book 6 or any of the other books coming, but the Nocturnal Lament, we haven't seen the last of that, even though it's been wrecked.
Yeah.
There is a thing that happens.
Cool. Well, I stepped outside my booth there, got a little bit of semi-fresh air. I am still going strong, ready to do another, I guess, half hour of narration or so. Half hour of finished audio. So we'll go through chapter 2, see how that goes, and then do chapter 3, and then I might call it there for today. But I will be back again very soon with more narration. So let me switch windows here.
I will probably have to tap out in about 20 minutes.
All right. That's all right, James. Appreciate you being here.
But I want to sit here for like the start of chapter 2 at least.
All right. Well, let's share the script. Here we go. Perfect. All right. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Pardon me. Here we go. Chapter 2. My throat's going to gurgle. Yeah, one of those, exactly.
The exact noise.
Great. There was a fucking spy in the ranks. So, correction number 1. Correction number 1. As I stepped out into the aisle, my voice was picked up and magnified just like Janos's as I strode forward into range of the microphone spell. My fire-blooded Shalatu whore, a.k.a. Suri Bahadir, the Lady of Mizno, is not warring with your navy. Correction number 2 is that I am right here, in the flesh, listening to you lie your ass off with my actual goddamned ears. My fire-blooded Shalatu whore, a.k.a. Suri Bahadir, the Lady of Mizno, is not warring with your navy. Correction number 2 is that I am right here, in the flesh, listening to you lie your ass off with my actual goddamned ears. The Pasha and Janos... Janos? The Pasha and Janos paused awkwardly. They paused in the way that people paused when they'd been caught doing something they shouldn't be doing. There was no masking the surprise in their widened eyes, the sudden drain of color from their faces. Rutha was right. Whatever we were listening to... Rutha was right. Rutha was right. Whatever we were listening to, it had been scripted. The court presents Vovod Dragozin Hector of Mizno. Elizabeth the Herald crawled. Elizabeth the Herald called out helpfully. Her eyes darted to me, bright with amusement and concern.
I sort of imagine her doing like little jazz hands, like
Hector of Mizno! Let me write,
'cause she's totally on his side, like Elizabeth likes Hector.
Janos recovered first. He turned a cold, icy glare on the stricken diplomat. Well then, Pasha Aswan, forgive me my inferior knowledge of geography, but I was not aware that Vulcan Keep was located in the Bashir Desert. A ripple of laughter passed through the room. Even I chuckled. Yeah, sorry to blow a great big sloppy hole in your alibi, Pasha, but the vote of Mizno's right here, present and accounted for. And every word you just rattled off is complete and total bullshit. My words caused the brief moment of mirth to darken. A rumble ran through the crowd where the Fourth Fleet officers stood. So I assume I'll be allowed to defend myself in front of the court, right? Unless I'm secretly in Dakdir waging war on the Sultir? I continued. I was still armored and fully armed, flight harness on, the spear of 9 spheres on my back. Janos looked down at Pasha with a blank, pleasant expression. That was my information! That was my information, the diplomat said weakly. My sources were very clear. What sources? I demanded, advancing up the aisle. Do you want to tell the court who these sources are? Because they're clearly mistaken. My dragon's out in the courtyard and I'm right here. And where is Lady Bahadir? Janos asked. Tending Mizno's affairs while Karalti and I responded to the loss of His Majesty. It was a half-truth, because Suri was, in fact, in the Bashir Desert, and we had blown up several Dakhari airships that had attacked our salvage fleet. They had no right to start hostilities. The war singer we were retrieving, Withering Rose, was not Dakhdir's property. But what I wanted to know was how the fuck did Pasha Aswan know that? Then you deny the charges? Janos frowned. He looked like he was trying to think of something. Absolutely. I replied. Dumbest shit I ever heard. Janos smiled. Pasha, your grievances are dismissed. You have no basis for your information. Your king betrayed us on a technicality, and he will pay. The regent flicked his hand. Your punishment will be summary execution by impalement. Be summary. Your punishment will be summary execution by impalement. But you swore! But you swore! But you swore! Pasha only got a few words out before one of the king's guard kicked him in the back of the head. The heavy-plated foot snapped him forward and slammed his face against the cold obsidian floor. Pasha's nose burst like a ripe berry, and he fell limp. Take him straight to the battlements, Janos. Take him straight to the battlements. Oh no, am I glitching?
A little bit, but not too bad.
No, it's
and yeah, like Janos, get that like snooty kind of thing with him, take him straight to the battlements, just like this.
One second, James. Sorry, I can't really make you out. My audio is glitching on my end, so
no.
Give me 2 seconds.
Oh, I guess you're just stuck with me now. Hello, I'm James Osiris Baldwin, and I'm hijacking Soundbooth Theater. I'm the captain now, so... Yeah, I definitely imagine, like, Janos as being that slimy, kind of snooty, sort of, overly bright and overwhelming, Don't worry, Justin, I'm just talking to people. I just hijacked your show. It's me now.
Oh, okay, no worries. Sound should be better now. Someone asked, is that a plywood box with soundproofing? That is exactly what this is. That's it. And in 8 months.
Snake, I don't think you understand just how tall Justin is.
It's a lot of plywood.
I can't put him in my pocket. He's way too tall.
Yeah, I'm a tall guy. I am a tall guy. All right, let's keep going. Yeah,
I was saying, like, with the, like, with Janos, like, you can get that, like, snooty kind of, like, take him straight to the battlements. Just that, like...
Sure. Let's take him straight to the battlements. Where am I? Come on now. Take him straight to the battlements, Janos said in disgust. Vovodragos in Hector, you state before the court that you did not venture... Take him straight to the battlements, Janos said in disgust. Vovodragos in Hector, you state before the court that you did not venture into the Bashir Desert for any reason? I locked eyes with the regent. He stared back. Absolutely, I called the bluff. Then you directly violated the primary directive of His Majesty, Janos said with a thin, smug smile. Who ordered you? Who ordered you to head into the Bashir to claim a war machine that is the rightful property of the crown? Are you saying you failed in your duty? Ignis left me detailed, specific documents explaining that you were working... Oh, went a little British there. Ignis left me detailed, specific documents explaining that you were working on this task, and I can in fact see the bounty he issued you, and that you accepted. The growing hunch that Janos was trying to set me up for some reason intensified into certainty, and that was why I'd set up my trap the way I had. Your Grace, I said... Your Grace... Your Grace, I said, Your Grace, I said I didn't go to the Bashir. I have the duties of a Vavode to attend in Misno, and there wouldn't be much point in taking Karalty to get the War Singer. That machine's over 300 feet tall. It could pick up my dragon and carry her like a cat. That brought a small ripple of tense laughter from the court. Janos's smug smile faded. A team of salvaging ships is bringing the War Singer back to Vlachia, I said. I, obviously, am not. Like you noted, the Bashir is not actually part of Dakdir. Our craft made no aggressive moves toward Dakdir and never entered their sovereign territory. And I assume you have this ship navigation records to prove it. Sure. That wasn't a lie. We'd cut around the mountains and flown due south. The logs on the scrappers weren't going to incriminate me. The regent leaned forward. And these ships are on their way to Taltos? To Misno. I stared straight back at him. We'll repair the War Singer in Litvi. It has the best facilities in the country. Given my province hosts the Royal College of Engineers. His eyes narrowed, boring into mine. With all due respect, Your Grace, you really seem to be reaching for something. I didn't blink, because I didn't have to. The mutations I had endured to allow me to become a dragon rider had given me clear inner eyelids that I could flick across my eyes without looking away. So, are you going to keep trying to blame Misno for Dakdir's betrayal based on the word of an enemy spy? Or are we going to stop messing around and go rescue our king? The Vavode is out of line! Janos. The Vavode is out of line. Janos said coldly. Consider this your one and only warning before you join Pasha on this stake. A dark murmur passed through the assembly at his words, especially through the ranks of military personnel. You have gained plus 250 renown with the Royal Vlachian Fourth Fleet. You have lost minus 150 renown with factions, Duchy of Songrad, Duchy of Ori, Dragon Knights. You have gained plus 175 renown with factions, Night Stalkers, Knights of the Red Star, Duchy of Turas, June. Nearly everyone here knew that I'd helped Ignis retake the throne from his corrupt, incompetent brother, Andrik, and that Janos had been Andrik's ally. Me and my squad had also succeeded in the quest to liberate... Me and my squad had also succeeded in the quest to liberate the Vlachian province of Misno from the clutches of a foreign vampire. That, plus all the other quests my party and I had completed to the benefit of Vlachia, had given us a lot of renown to lean on in Taltos. That, plus all the other quests my party and I had completed to the benefit of Vlachia, had given us a lot of renown to lean on in Taltos. Renown was part of Archemi's game system, and it affected how NPCs, such as the people in the court, perceived me and my challenge. Renown was part of Archemi's game system, and it affected how NPCs, such as the people in the court, perceived me and my challenge to Janos's authority. Not only that, but I carried the King's Mark, a status that Ignis had given to me to indicate to any and all people in Vlachia that I was a trusted VIP, and I was a dragon-bonded rider in a country that worshipped one of the dragon's gods. Janos was on thin ice. Yes, Your Grace. Thoroughly warned. I looked back to the men of the Fourth. They were all hanging on my words. Not what? I looked back to the men of the Fourth. They were all hanging on my words, not Janos's. But while I'm here, I and the rest of the assembled would be very grateful to learn how we can help. But while I'm here, I and the rest of the assembled would be very grateful to learn how we can help pull Ignis from the clutches of Ilia. But while I'm here, I and the rest of the assembled would be very grateful to learn how we can help pull Ignis from the clutches of Ilia.
Yeah, he's definitely being sarcastic.
Yeah, okay. But while I'm here, I and the rest of the assembled would be very grateful to learn how we can pull Ignis from the clutches of Ilia. The crown will not be accepting questions today. The purpose of this appearance was to inform. Janos reached up to adjust a small pin on the collar of his jacket. The glint of metal caught my eye, and without thinking, I zoomed my eagle-like vision onto it to glance. And then I did a double take. It was the symbol of the fucking Ryuko Corporation. The symbol used by the cult of the architect. Yes, Your Grace. Yes, Your Grace. I sketched an ironic bow and started to head off. Before turning back. But, before I go, can the Crown explain why he is wearing the symbol of the architects, the same symbol used by our enemies in Ilia and the same symbol used by Andrik in his heretical cult on his collar? Gasps echoed through the crowd. Behind me, Rutha's face turned ashen. Simon's mouth opened. Nethris stiffened. To the left side of the throne, Abisa stirred. She dropped her hands, her head darting to look at Janos like a Janos's... She dropped her hands, her head darting to look at Janos like a... Oh, that's why that makes... like an eagle's. She dropped her hands, her head starting to look at Janos like an eagle's. She dropped her hands, her head darting to look at Janos like an eagle's. Janos's fingers froze. He looked down at me in raw disbelief. From his position high on the throne, no normal human could possibly have spotted the little pin. But I wasn't an ordinary human. You
You dare make such a wild accusation of your rightful ruler in front of the entire assembled court? He blinked a couple of times, his hand still resting over his neck. Then let Abisa look at what's under your hand. Then let Abisa look at what's under your hand, I shot back. Then let Abisa look at what's under your hand. I shot back. She knows I can spot a dormouse a while moth? She knows I can spot a dormouse a mile down off a dragon's... She knows I can spot a dormouse a mile down off my dragon's back. Sire. Sire, Abisa took a step toward him, only to be halted by a wall of metal and barred sword blades, bared. Abisa took a step forward. Abisa took a step toward him, only to be halted by a wall of metal and bared sword blades. Arrest this traitorous gutter-born clicker! Janos snarled the derogatory. Arrest this traitorous gutter-born clicker! Janos snarled the derogatory. Arrest this traitorous gutter-born clicker! Janos snarled the derogatory term at Abisa. Why won't you tell the court how you plan to rescue Ignis, Janos? I dropped all pretense of courtly intrigue as my HUD exploded with pings, my renown seesawing wildly in response to the sudden chaos. In between it all, I got a quest alert. New quest, the hidden hand. Janos jerked his hand away to point at me, pulling the pin in the process. Seize this one for high treason against the Velod and his anointed representative! 4 of the Kingsguard.
The Kingsguard.
The Klingons. 4 of the Klingons drew their swords and charged. 4 of the Kingsguard drew their swords and charged. Okay, but just so you know, this is a very bad move, politically speaking. As they closed in, I shot straight up into the air, arcing high above the startled, jostling crowd of nobles and soldiers. At the peak of the vault, time slowed, and I frowned as I watched the crowd split and 2 lines form. On the one side were a dozen loyalist Knights of the Red Star, Palace Guardsmen, and Knights of the Dragon, and on the other, the men of the 4th Fleet and Galen's 30-odd knights. Galen was drawing his saber as I landed in the cleared space of the aisle. He stepped out in front of me as the knights under his command... You know what, maybe I can just do this. Oh, too long. Oops. There we go. Yeah, maybe that'll help a bit. He stepped out in front of me as the knights under his command followed suit. Base treachery against the crown! Base treachery against the crown! Galen roared toward Janos. Scapegoating your rival Vavod so blatantly in front of the assembled court? Men! Pull this pretender off the throne and cast him down! This is Janos speaking now. Get them! All of them! I think.
Galen!
His words shocked me even more than Janos calling me out. His words shocked me even more than Janos calling... His words shocked me even more than Janos calling me out, but there was no time.
Yeah, so Galen, that's Hector.
Oh, that's
Basically.
Hector saying Galen.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's Hector being like, oh, hey, wait, buddy.
Galen. And then get them, all of them, is still Hector?
No, that's Janos.
That's Janos. Okay, I think something happened with the...
From the throne, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the Janos' dialogue actually meshes with that lower paragraph. The paragraphs have been split.
Yeah, it's supposed to be connected here.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. That's why.
Yeah, Hector's like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah, that's together. Okay.
Get them! All of them! Get them! All of them! Get them! All of them! Get them! Get them! All of them!
Yeah, Janos is also panicking a bit by this point.
Yeah, yeah.
Get them! All of them!
Shalatu Hor. All right. The court erupted as Janos, screaming treachery. The court erupted as Janos, screaming treachery, lunged to his feet as his men ran at my defenders. Small, slim Commander Vasily drew his rapier and clashed with one of the helmed guard. Small, slim Commander Vasily drew his rapier and clashed with one of the helmed Kingsguard, somehow catching and turning the huge man's broadsword. Abisa, near the throne, pulled her daggers and vanished like a ghost. A familiar woman's scream pealed out from the crush. Masha.
Let me go, you ruffians!
The master healer yelled, kicking as two guardsmen hauled her up by the armpits and tried to drag her away. Her foot connected with the unarmored crotch of the man on her left, staggering him. He fell away, retching and clutching his junk, but the other only grappled her more tightly. Masha cried out in pain. Something dark and angry rose in me, and I lashed out with a coil of pure darkness that shot forward like a striking snake. The black lotus noose whipped around the man's neck, and his eyes bulged as he dropped the master healer to claw at his throat. I leaped in over Masha as she stumbled away, landing on him spear first. The magical weapon skidded off his... Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I leaped in over Masha as she stumbled away, landing on him spear first. The magical weapon skidded off his round breastplate and plunged through padding. Sending him wounded and choking to his knees. Karalti, get ready to fly! Everything's gone to shit! I spun the spear like a deadly baton, using the high-speed momentum to scatter the guards closing in on us like a pack of dogs. Masha, I'm getting you out of here! Masha, I'm getting you out of here! There was a cry, a flash, and then two men went flying up over the crowd from the other side of the brawling pack. Nethris had her winged visor on. We'll get a little bit of Wilhelm scream there.
Okay, before you continue, I have to head off. I'm going to go and do some house maintenance. But
all right.
Yeah, we'll be back around to chat with people in the Soundbooth Discord as this gets recorded. And
all right. Well, sounds good, James. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for hanging out. I'm going to keep going until the end of this chapter here. So if you're watching, definitely stay tuned and hang out and chat amongst yourselves. But James, yes, I'll see you in the Discord, and you have a great day. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, pouring concrete.
Yeah, that's actually what I've got to go do.
Oh, good stuff. This is a great time to remind you that, well, the more you guys can do to spread the word of Archemi and, find friends who you think would be interested in the series. Lit RPG, a little bit of some 18-plus content. Not a whole lot, though. Just big, sprawling, epic fantasy, Final Fantasy-esque, incredible story. Spread the word. Like this video, share this video, react to it, leave comments, all of that good stuff is very, very helpful for James and Soundbooth Theater as well. So, but at the very least, I appreciate you being here, and let's keep going. Nethris had her winged visor down, a silvered shield on her arm, her Nordic-style axe in the other hand. Abisa was with her, the pair of them fighting back to back as they pulled toward me. Abisa didn't go for Janos. I tore my eyes away, searching for Rutha. Panicked nobles were evacuating. As they cleared from the place I'd last seen her, I saw a clear, crackling dome of magic push people away. Rutha had her gauntleted arm raised high over the crouched forms of Kithias and Master Sage Nemeth, and the sprawled, unconscious form of Simon. He lay in a pool of spreading blood. "Oh no, he's hurt!" Masha groaned, limping. "Ugh, Toon, my leg!" A dragon knight broke through the line of our defenders, broadsword striking down one man, then another. I had to make a decision. Masha squeaked as I dropped the spear and scooped her up into a bridal carry. Masha squeaked as I dropped the spear and scooped her up into a bridal carry, leaping up and forward. The master healer yelped as we sailed over a rank of brawlers. I landed harder than usual, taking the shock with my knees and staggering forward to stop from dropping. I landed harder than usual, taking the shock with my knees and staggering forward to stop from dropping. her, but the momentum brought me up to the group huddled beneath Rutha's shield. She looked through it at me. Eyes wide with alarm. "Rutha, can you move with this shield up?" I let Masha down. Rutha gestured with her fingers, and the magic of the shield warped, opening up a hole for Masha to scuttle through. "Yes, but Simon!" Kithias, lay him over Rutha's lap," I barked. Then all of you get out to Coralti before they get it in their minds to attack my damn dragon. Kithias, pale but determined, gave a sharp nod and immediately went to the court mage's feet. He hauled him up and draped him over Rutha's knees. Simon had a bloody wound to the head. What in the name of Kors is going on? Nemeth looked between us all. Nemeth. What in the name? What in the name of Kors is going on? What in the name of Kors is going on? What in the name of Kors is going on? Nemeth looked between us all. All right, Kithias's voice here. Let's hear Kithias. They've been here on Artana for longer than any other intelligent species, yes. Dragons included. Like a melodic, more effeminate voice. No time, sir, Kithias replied, turning his head toward me. Where's the dragon? Where did we go? Where's the dragon? Where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go? Rose Garden. Nope. Rose Garden, Masha said. Masha said, grimacing as she assessed her own leg. She grunted, then fumbled in a pouch for medicine. You got any of those knife friends you were talking about the last time I visited the library? I asked Kithias. He nodded and drew a slim dagger from his boot. A few. Keep it out and stab. Keep it out and stab anyone who tries to get in your way. I saluted him. See you on the other side. Master Sage Nemeth overcame his confusion to help. Seizing the handles of Rutha's floating wheelchair and steering her toward the exit as she re-intensified her protective barrier around them all. I turned just in time to see a wall of soldiers boiling toward me. The red borders around their HP rings told me they were not friendlies. All of this for little old me. You shouldn't have. I called the spear to hand, and the weapon suddenly appeared in my clenched fist. The appearance of it gave the men pause, enough for me to disappear in a thin plume of shadow and reappear behind them. My AoE attacks were out. Too many civilians and allies mixed into the brawl to risk it. I triggered blood sprint and shot forward in a straight line from behind them, spear flashing. The maneuver gave me priority in combat against any opponent with less dex than me. At level 34, against the common troops of the royal court, that was all of them. Hector! Nethrus's husky voice carried to me as I kicked a man off the blade of my spear. I whirled to see her closing in, Abisa by her side. The assassin's daggers were bloody. Nethrus, glad you're okay. Abisa, did you get Janos? I left the injured guard to roll on the floor, stepping over him. No, I'll explain later. Abisa's mask was unreadable, but her harsh, whiskey-hoarse voice sounded more strained than usual. I went for Nethrus. Ignis told me to free her if the court dissolved. Did you know I'd be arrested? Nethrus demanded of me. No, and we don't have time to discuss it. I pointed at the distant door. Your Quasi is safe, being spoiled rotten by the stablemaster. Your Quasi is safe, being spoiled rotten by the stablemaster at my castle. Get to Coralti for evac. I'll cover your rear. For the first time since I'd met her, Abisa hesitated. She looked back toward the throne. We need you if we're going to save Ignis, Abisa. Go! I ordered her, tensing to leap. Nethrus caught the wiry Mercurian by the forearm and tugged. Abisa shook her off, as if insulted, and flitted forward. I surged forward, only to be halted when Ur-Galen stepped in front of me. He caught my shoulder and squeezed, bringing me to a halt before I could rejoin the battle lines. His red armor was dented, and he had a cut to his face.
Vavod, go with the others. Vavod, go with the others. Vavod, go with the others. We will hold here. Vavod, go with the others. We will hold here.
Hold? Hold? Don't you dare make a last stand here for me. You need to get out of the palace, I retorted, brushing him off. We can get Janos later. We all
saw him tear something from his collar and hide it. We all saw him tear something from his collar and hide it, Your Grace. I've trained since boyhood to fight for this country, and now that we have experienced the rule of a good Vlad, a wise, competent Vlad, I won't let Songra drag it into the mud.
The knight's tattooed face contorted.
My blood brothers and I fought with you in Mizno. We know you are faithful to crown and country. We will fight, and we will escape, and we will join you at your castle. If Janos declares us traitors, so be it. Chernobog shelters the righteous revolutionary under his dark mantle. We shall become the Knights of the Black Star instead. We shall become the Knights of the Black Star instead.
I pressed my lips in a thin line and gripped his arm. Don't die here. Don't die here.
We won't.
The old knight flashed me a gap-toothed grin, then shoved me toward the door.
Leave! Rescue our king and prepare for trouble! The regent is powerful, but we will find... The regent is powerful, but we will find our way to your doors.
I nodded, steeled myself, and fled. If Galen's knights and the officers and men of the Fourth were willing to risk their lives and careers for me, I wasn't going to make their efforts to be in vain. I wasn't going to make their efforts be in vain. Soldiers from the Vulcan Keep garrison sprinted down the marble corridors of the castle to join their fellows in the throne room. They had Nethris and Abisa pinned in the hallway that led to the rose garden. From further back, there was a flash and a scream, followed by a rolling bass roar that shook the floor. Coralti! Coralti! Coralti, use your queen song! Knock him out! Coralti, use your queen song! Knock him out! I sprinted forward, jumped, and landed on the head of the heavily armored soldier about to bring his mace down on Nethris's shield. He sprawled back, gurgling and clutching at the spear blade buried in his throat. Coralti replied to me as an empathetic push of acknowledgement. I felt her focus harden and fighting falter as a deep, primordial rumbling built and built, rattling the walls and windows of the keep. It drowned every other sound, and Nethris and Abisa surged forward as one by one. Our enemies fell to their knees. Some of them clutched their ears and screamed, or stumbled against walls to violently retch.
Move, move, move! Move, 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 move! Move, 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 move! Move, move, move!
My voice was barely audible over the din as a high note, clear and pure as glass, overlaid the terrible dark rumble of my dragon's song. My voice was barely audible over the din as a high note, clear and pure as glass, overlaid the terrifying dark rumble of my dragon's song. One by one, the windows above the courtyard shook in their frames and burst. Nethris and Abisa ran after me as we pushed through the paralyzed mass of enemies and out into the garden. To my relief, everyone else was already strapped into the saddle except for Kithias. You two are just gonna have to hang on. You two are just gonna have to hang on! I tried to shout, but Karalti was still going, head thrown back, jaws gaping, her queen's song rolling over the ground like a tsunami. Cursing to myself, I ran for her, vaulted up to her back from the ground, and frantically waved at the two women. Abisa knew what to do. She had even more alacrity than did I. She had even more alacrity than I did, vanishing on the ground, only to reappear beside me. Nethris, built to tank, would be too slow to make it before the song ended. She was an experienced flyer in her own right, but there were no more passenger positions available on Karalti's back. Karalti, grab Nethris! Let's teleport before they get an anti-magic barrier up and Let's teleport before they get an anti-magic barrier and... Oh, wrong track. Karalti, grab Nethris! Let's teleport before they get an anti-magic barrier up and the fucking cannons armed! I slid into position, trusting Abisa to find a seat. Can you teleport from the ground? Yes, I think so, but the landing might be weird. Karalti dropped her head to end the song in a long, rattling caw. She took a step forward and caught the startled Valkyrie in her claws. She took a step forward and caught the startled Valkyrie in her claws. Hold on, Nethris, and don't wiggle too much. I looked down to see enemy knights stumbling through the doors, swords raised, but they were too late to stop us as Karalti's black opal scales swelled with color. They skidded to a stop as the dragon swiveled her head toward them, flared her wings, and warped into the void. All right, there we have it. Boom, the end of chapter 2. All right, well, I'm definitely going to have to take a break and kind of call it here for narration for now. But I will be back. I'm going to try to be back tomorrow at some point. Got a little bit of running around to do. I don't know if anybody else got it, but there was a huge snowstorm up in Toronto, which is where I live. And it was going 6 centimeters per hour, which is quite a bit. And 2. But it was, it's pretty amazing outside. Pretty freaking amazing. But anyways, how y'all doing? Okay, we got a couple people watching, and let's see. I don't know who that was. This is awesome. Well, thank you, Facebook user. If you're watching that, then thank you for checking in. We still got Athens is here. Oh, right on, Athens. Athens says that he heard about the snowstorm and some friends are that way. Actually, I'm not sure. He or she, Athens. Either way, yeah. Where are you? Where are you located? Yeah, Toronto just got totally blasted. So fun day for snowball fights and skiing and snowboarding for anybody who does that. Come to Toronto. We don't have any hills, but we have the snow. Cool. Well, Guys, I am sweating buckets here. I got to get out of this plywood soundproofed thing and go drink some water and go relax a bit. So, fun fact, Athens has never seen snow in person. Diesel says that he heard parts of Cali are still under snow and will be for the next week. California, hey, wow. Anybody else get snow? California is a interesting state. I've never actually been there, but one of the little bits of trivia that kind of occurs to me is that you can go from like tropical to desert to like snowy boreal forest all within the same country. And I think that's pretty cool. Anyways, why don't we end with a song, eh? I'm not going to break into song, but I'm going to play a song from, we'll do one more from War Singer. Today's the War Singer theme today. Maps is a good one. I like Maps. Full Alagot, Maze No Riots, The Planets. Yeah, let's try Maps. I think this is a nice one. I'm going to stop sharing this, and then I'm going to present another screen. There's probably an easier way to do this, but regardless, there we go. Show the cover. Thank you all for joining today. I'm going to send you off with another track from War Singer. This is when Hector and Karalti find a map of Artana, and it reminds me a lot of a scene in Final Fantasy VII when they bring Red 13 back to Cosmo Canyon, and they meet like the old man with the telescope, and he shows them like the universe and stuff. So that was kind of in my head when I composed this one. But anyways, that is it from me. Thank you again for spending time with me today and hanging out with James and I. We were very, very excited to have this process started, and we will see you soon. Talk to you very, very soon. All the best, and feast your ears on this.